Привет everyone, Raf is on the air and we'll discuss main lore of ancient Natlan. Let's start with some basic information about the region, raw history, the main legends and heroes of Natlan, and also look at some references in names and titles. Many points will be discussed in more detail in the following videos. It is also worth keeping in mind that we are forced to look for the real history of Natlan through fairy tales and myths, which often contain inaccurate information. But let's begin. Поехали! We should start with the most ancient times of Teyvat, when the planet was ruled by the 7 dragon sovereigns and their king Xbalanque. The lord of Pyro, the dragon Xiuhcoatl, was a huge geek, scientist and explorer. As we know that dragons first lost to Fanes and his shadows, then tried to come back with the help of the powers of the abyss, which Xbalanque found but failed. And at the same time, Xiuhcoatl managed to create and preserve his dragon civilization in the lands, or rather in the bowels of the earth, which we know as Natlan. Name of Pyro sovereign was chosen quite interestingly. The Aztecs had a god of fire, Xiuhcoatl, a rather respected character, the god of fire, day and heat, as well as volcanoes. He was the god of both heavenly and underground fire, cruel, all-consuming, but at the same time he was also the god of the health, as evidenced by his multiple names such as Xiuhcoatl, which means yellow-haired, Xiuhcoatl, which means flame, Tota, our father, Xiuhcoatl, very old god, and Tlalshiktenika, sitting at the navel of the earth, mother of the gods, father of the gods, and some other names. Xiuhcoatl is his spiritual form of a fire serpent, and the name itself is translated as a turquoise serpent. Moreover, in this form, the god acted as a weapon with the power of lighting for Xiuhcoatl, the god of the sun and war. And if in the game I will tell you later how we can look at this nuance, then in real world there is a Mexican assault rifle FX-05 Xiuhcoatl developed in 2005. The central point of the ancient dragon civilization of Natlan was the great volcano Natlan. Natlan is a Mesoamerican mythological term which is often associated with the capital of the Toltecs, the city of Tula. In fact, Natlan is the capital of the god Quetzalcoatl, a kind of paradise on Earth, and the etymology of the word is associated with reed. Thus, a very telling name for the lost paradise of the serpent god. The dragon society was divided into tribes led by matriarchs. So, at some point in time, Natlan was ruled by dragons who used advanced mechanism. Xiuhcoatl himself has power over the primordial fire, a special form of the pyro element. Phlogiston was used as an energy source, and the technology of phlogiston engraving could create things similar to modern real silicon chips. People were savages and huddled in the outskirts. Since there were almost no ley lines in Natlan, then apparently the memory of people created the Kingdom of Night, where the souls of mortals ended up and where the mysterious Lord of the Night ruled. But since in the Kingdom of the Night we can see the divine nail from Celestia, we can conclude that it is quite ancient, because their bombardment with nails was carried out somewhere after the war with the second who came. In addition, the descendants of dragons, the Saurians, can also end up in the Kingdom of Night. So, we have designated the period of the Dragon's Kingdom in Natlan when people led a rather primitive way of life. Next, we know the fact that the dragons were struck by the abyss, literally, and yet the wisdom of fire had already been seized by the tide of feculent darkness. Only its grey corpse shambled on. One of the dragon lineage, Waxalahun Ubakan, foresaw that the future would lie in the hands of humans who were inferior to the dragons in strength, but superior in wisdom. Waxalahun Ubakan, or the Sage of the Stolen Flame, took the sparks of the primordial fire and brought them to humans. In modern Natlan, this is called phlogiston, the use of which the first humans learned from this dragon sage. The sage revealed the future to his first human student. But from your hairs shall come the savior of two worlds. He shall be brutal as the lions and scorpions, but as cunning as a wild fox. One day he shall slay the overlord of fire and ascend to the oldest of thrones. Praise be unto the ruler of two worlds. Thus, the sage predicted the appearance of Xbalanque, who would defeat Xiuhcoatl, sacrifice his heart, and become the first Pyro Archon. Remember, we already talked about Tolan and the god Quetzalcoatl. Actually, Waxalahun Ubakan is one of the earlier names of this deity and at the same time a historical figure. Let's analyze a little bit this image. The Mayans called the snake god Kukulkan and the Aztecs later Quetzalcoatl. And also the god himself was a serpent. The Aztecs named him in honor of the bird with bright emerald plumage, Quetzal. Quetzal is an ancient symbol of freedom. This bird does not live in captivity. Thus, the image of the game sage as a silver dragon with green wings is partly close to the mythological. In addition, there was such a person, Xiuhcoatl Naxitl Topeltzin Quetzalcoatl. He was a Toltec religious and political figure, high priest of the god Quetzalcoatl, ruler of Kukulkan and Tula. Posthumously, he became one of the most famous folklore heroes of the peoples of Mexico, which caused the popularity of the cult of Quetzalcoatl among the Aztecs and Mayans. As I already said, Mayans named this god Kukulkan, and his biography finally merged with the image of the deity he revered. Researchers compare his figure with even Jesus Christ and Buddha. According to legend, Quetzalcoatl himself was the enlightener of the Toltecs, who taught them writing, counting, astronomy, crafts, and much more. And here is quite clear that a parallel can be drawn between the game dragons, who gave people what moved their civilization forward, with the legend of the real world. The man to whom Waxalahun Ubakan gave the phlogiston was named Chak. The sage of the Stolen Flame had a conflict of interest with the gods of the night, but in the end it was Chak who called out to his fallen comrades but kindling a flame on the mountain top, and they answered him from the realm of the night. Then the first Wayop was born. Wayops are considered formless beings of pure consciousness, devoid of outer shells and more like spiritual entities that allow humans to communicate with the realm of the night. As I said before, the plan of the Dragon Sage was to guide the evolution of humans so that one would be born who will become a hero who will unite all tribes of men. In his name they would make a covenant, raise a banner of the blazing sun and march upon the city of deep wells that even gods had yet to conquer. On that day the living corpse on the throne spit forth flame that could stain the sky red, and the new king would receive the primal fire as a tribute due them for Ascension. On that day the dragons would once more bow before the overlord of two worlds, and the knowledge of countless years of civilization would be opened to him. This day actually came, when Xbalanque cut out his heart, died, and was reborn as the first Pyro Archon, defeating Xiuhcoatl. He created the laws for Natlan for millennia to come, and became the only man to take the divine throne in the War of the Archons. Waxalahun Ubakan knew that the force in the shadows were not far off. Indeed, they still hid in the night's deepest depths, waiting to strike a final blow. For it knew that neither gods in the heavens nor the High King among dragons would suffice. All knowledge and strength had to be gathered before the day came. Only by this could his stubborn king awaken from the ancient shattered dreams of the decrepit king. Only by this could the ancient civilization welcome suitable successors and find its footing once more on the earth. This information tells us that the sage was skeptical about the chances of Celestia and Nibelung to fight back the Abyss, but he believes that the alliance of people and dragons has a chance. When Xbalanque ended his life by entering the sacred flame, power was usurped by a mysterious person known as the Sacred Lord. Once, the first Archon freed him from prison, but the Sacred Lord betrayed his liberator, breaking his laws, and ruled a city known as Ochkanatlan. Having finally plunged into madness, the Sacred Lord constantly wore a mask and became similar to a dragon. We are waiting for details about Ochkanatlan when this location becomes available, where we will continue the quest with our little Paleosauric Pokemon. Then the heroes of all tribes tore the tyrant from the throne and Ochkanatlan was consumed by Abyss. The story with the heroes of all tribes repeated itself again 500 years ago during the Khaenri'ah Cataclysm, when Tenech, an exiled warrior, managed to unite the strongest around himself and repel the monster of the Abyss. Mavuika decided to definitely preserve the ancient names of those 6 heroes, having developed the plan to save Natlan, including her rebirth. Regarding the history of Natlan, I want to know that in the current version of the game it is difficult to accurately understand and correctly interpret all the events, but I have told you the main points. In the following videos we will analyze in detail the story quest, the personality of Capitana, the Kingdom of the Night, the tribes of Natlan. I would like to leave the events of the Khaenri'ah Cataclysm and Ochkanatlan for later, when new updates and location are released. And since we have the first overview video after release of Fire region, I want to talk about the main toponyms of the locations of the first presented tribes. Xiuhcoatl is a name in Xiuhcoatl, which literally means place where water is born. Xiuhcoatl is also a toponym from Mexico, from Xiuhcoatl. This name can be translated in 2 ways: a mountain with serpents or a mountain with winding, snaking passages. But Tekemekan is a symbol, and according to some versions, the etymological result will be place of rocky lands, and according to others, the etymology is proposed coming from Tekechmekanyani, the god of wine. Here we can finish for now. I wish everyone to enjoy exploring Natlan. After all, such a joy as a new region in Genshin Impact is available only once upon a year. Thanks for watching, and remember, fight for all the beautiful in the world, keep fire in your heart and melt all destructive obstacles with the power of love and compassion. Goodbye, and look forward for a new story.